Morning, Steve Ray in Chicago, and have the morning grain comment. It's Friday. It's cold here in Chicago, and it's going to be cold this weekend. As far as the markets are concerned, they're fairly quiet. The trend of late has been wheat and corn a little bit lower and beans a little bit higher. If I'm a probability trader, I look at the fundamentals and I see what's the chances of corn and wheat rallying. It's probably very minimal right now with the large global supply and the fact that our export demand is slower than the pace needed to reach the USDA's goal and behind last year's numbers. As far as we look at beans, the numbers are bearish, but the probability of beans rallying might be a little bit higher. Could be even over 50%, just because of the South American weather, and China's a good buyer underneath the market. So on breaks, there's a tendency to find support in the bean market. When we look at South American weather, it's still dry in northern Brazil, too wet in southern Brazil, and too wet in Argentina. Argentina said that their corn planting is 33% done. That's up only a few percentage points from last week's 28%. They've only got 2% of the soybeans planted and only 3% of the wheat harvested. And for wheat, USDA is expecting them to ship about 11 million tons of wheat. Globally, we do 180 million tons, and the U.S. does about 26 million tons. So we'll see if that changes a little bit. And U.S. prices are competitive right now, and if we can catch any demand from that, if it continues to rain down in Argentina. The forecast, though, is for a gradual change. The dry areas of Brazil get rains, and the wet areas of southern Brazil and Argentina turns out to be a little bit drier. So we'll see if we see that change. International Grain Council also increased world corn production 5 million tons. In wheat, they increased 1 million tons. As far as consumption, though, they increased corn use 8 million tons. Of that total, China's actually up 9 million tons. So the policies in China is trying to increase demand and reduce their large, burdensome stocks. Soybean crop was left unchanged, but they did raise use 2 million tons. So I think underlying this is, even though we got a lot of corn, there is some things down the road that could help demand. So anyway, for the export sales this week, the wheat sales continue to run behind the pace needed to meet the USDA numbers. Corn sales 30% behind a year ago. The USDA is actually increasing a 19% decline. And soybean sales are running 15% behind, and the USDA is looking for a 4% increase. Our contracts are based on export, so that export demand needs to improve if we're going to find a bottom in prices and move a little bit higher. Fundamentals still kind of negative: corn, wheat, and beans. Probability of though in beans rallying has to do a lot with South American weather and Chinese demand under the market. So we hope you have a good weekend, and we hope that these are my thoughts and not those of ADM or ADM Investor Services, and have a safe and profitable trading day.